Howdy, I'm Marc Cutright. I'm in the higher education program in the Department of Counseling and Higher Education. I was a draftee too for this. Patrick came to me and he said, well, you talk a good game. Those were more or less the words. I'm putting in my own inflection. But I think that my best and worst moments, sometimes at once, have been about the becoming deeper in humility, becoming more humble as a teacher. I remember I've been a teacher only since I was 50, and I had my first tenure track job at Ohio University maybe 2 years in. I've accepted a graduate class, master students of 35, and that's pretty large to try to attempt seminar type work. But I said, I can do it. First class I went, I was fully prepared. Nice suit, attentive students. I finished right on time. They laughed at my jokes at the right places because they'd never heard them. And at the end of class, this young woman comes to the front and she said, Dr. Cutright, I just thought you'd like to know your zipper's been down the whole time. I don't know why she couldn't mention that at break, but I guess the lesson out of that is sometimes you think you're mesmerizing, and sometimes they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I taught part-time at Towson University, and I taught all three at various times of three-course research sequence for master's degree students. I'm teaching the third section in which they are going to execute and report, design, execute, and report out their own research project. And this young woman is having the most difficult time in class understanding concepts and everything. And so I at least was good enough to go to her privately and say, I think that you might want to consider dropping this course because this is the last we can do it without grade penalty. She called me at home that evening crying. She had to have this course or she wouldn't graduate, and she wanted to teach. And I said, okay, can you meet me at the library tomorrow evening? And we began to talk through. I found out that she had been ill-advised and taken the first two courses out of sequence. So there was a lot of disconnection in that. And I think she also had a bit of a cognitive disability, but it was undiagnosed, and I couldn't assume it. So we just figured our way through it, and by the end of that process, she not only did the best project in the class, gave the best presentation, but is now teaching in the Baltimore City schools today, and I'm so proud of her. I think the lessons I learned out of that is that equal treatment isn't necessarily equitable treatment, and that success should be the constant, and time should be the variable, and not the other way around. The last example, April of 2015 in Kenya, Al-Shabaab guerrillas came across the border from Somalia, invaded the campus of Garissa University College, killed 150 people in the next 8 hours or so, most of them students. And I went to Kenya this summer to interview them. I do a lot of my work in Africa. These aren't my pajamas. And I noticed you men who are wearing suits, you do know it's going to be 98 degrees today, don't you? But anyway, heard the most horrific stories. A student who had seen all 5 of her roommates executed. A woman who hid in the top of a closet for 8 hours and had Al-Shabaab guerrillas come into the room and kill all of her roommates. 2 young men who were shot 3 times during the course of the day. One young man whose leg was so shattered that he tore part of it off and crawled away and hid in a field for 8 hours. And these stories, and all of these people were back in university, suffering deep counseling issues, psychological problems, financial issues, heartache, sadness, depression, and yet they persisted. And what I learned out of that is, you think you've had a bad day? You know, you didn't get a paper accepted, you didn't get a grant, you got bad evaluations on your teaching or something? No, you had a perfect day. And I think it's important that we recognize that our students, many of them undergo so much and give up so much to spend time with us that it behooves us to do the best we can. Thanks a lot.